The UK has recorded its hottest day of the year, more than 32 degrees Celsius, as heat health alerts in England increased to amber.
The amber heat health alerts are in place as temperatures hit 30 degrees for the first time this year.
The rest of the day's news now, and the UK has recorded its hottest day of the year with temperatures passing 32 degrees Celsius. Amber heat health alerts are in place across the whole of England. The alerts, which will last until 9 o'clock on Monday morning, come as an expected heatwave sweeps across much of the country. Phil Mackey joins us now from Worcestershire. Phil.
Yes, Sophie, at Droitwich Lido, which has been absolutely jammed all day with little children, teenagers, parents, grandparents enjoying the hot weather. This evening, it's the adult session. They're just arriving for that. And earlier temperatures were hovering around 30 degrees here. It's just begun to cool down. Now, the Amber Health Alert is really about watching out for that. There's a tendency in this country, which isn't necessarily used to these warm spells, to go out and overdo it. Particularly the elderly, vulnerable, people with underlying health conditions have just been told take it easy because the health service and the social care services need to be ramped up, ready for an influx of people who will be suffering from the problems of excess heat. There are also warnings coming, particularly from the fire and rescue services around England, to watch out for the dangers of swimming in cold, open water. That can be particularly treacherous at this time of year, people coming into very cold water from very hot temperatures, and also the danger of grass fires being set. So don't leave cigarette lighters out there, don't have barbecues, or at least put them out when you leave, because that can be a real concern. Here they're enjoying it today. If it becomes an official heat wave, we've got to have 3 days in excess of 28 or 25 degrees, depending where you are. Now it looks inevitable that that is going to happen.
Phil, thank you. Well, all that heat is piling more pressure on farmers who were already struggling to produce food in the face of the very dry conditions. Our rural affairs correspondent Jenny Kumar has been talking to two farmers in Dorset with very different ways of managing their cattle in the heat.
As temperatures soar this week, looking after the land isn't the only challenge facing farmers.
Right, this is how we're keeping track of the health of the cows. It's the orange ears and the tags in the ears. They're wired up to the internet.
Dairy cows can really suffer in the heat, and that could mean a fall in milk production.
Cow, if they're out without any shade or enough water when they're out in the fields, they will overheat. They don't sweat like a human being. They're all right, then cope with so much heat stress, and then, yeah, the wheels come off.
So now the cows are kept indoors all day long.
In the end, farmers, have to generate a profit, or we will not be in business. The environment is changing, and we've all got to work with it, not against it.
And today there was a stark warning from leading climate scientists. They say we could breach the symbolic 1.5 degrees Celsius warming limit in as little as 3 years.
We've had the warning that sticking to our 1.5 degrees Celsius sort of commitment is going to be challenging. And actually the advice, therefore, is really about preparing now for the future to ensure that our farming businesses are fit for the future.
Farmers are taking different approaches. On this organic farm in Dorset, they want to keep their cows out grazing as much as possible by making sure the land can give them everything they need.
So how do you manage to keep the cows happy and healthy in this heat?
Yeah, so as you can see, we don't really manage our hedges much at all, so we've got loads of shade provided for them. This is an organic system, but this farm also has very much a kind of soil health-based approach to the farming, helping us improve soil structure, which does things like it helps more water be held in the soil, it provides better kind of nutrient cycling and stores carbon.
This week's heat wave is the latest reminder that farmers are having to adapt to a new normal of weather extremes. Jenny Kumar, BBC News, Dorset.
The UK's recorded the hottest day of the year so far as a heat health alert was issued for the next 5 days in England. It reached 32.2 Celsius in Kew in West London earlier. That's around 90 Fahrenheit. The UK Health Security Agency warned the high temperatures could see significant impacts on the health and social care services and a rise in deaths among the vulnerable and the old. Ellie Pitt has more.
When it gets hot, there are some places it's better to be than others. Across the country, temperatures ticked up through the 20s as the day went on, and in places tipped over 30 degrees. In Leicester's Abbey Park, while some craved the sun, Many more were after shade.
For me, it's just like wearing the right kind of clothing, you know, staying under the shade, bring a fan, just making sure that, you know, you've got the right food with you, like a lolly.
We're from Texas in the United States, and it's very hot and humid there. So we actually come here partly to escape the heat, which to us this feels like the perfect temperature.
Do you worry much about the heat when it gets like this with the little one?
Yeah, because it can get sunstroke or it can be really poorly with it too much. And the other night she woke up in the night because it was too hot for her, even though we kept her cool, but it was too much for her.
Where are you going next?
The nut slide is a bit hot and it's a bit slide hot.
Not to the slide because the slide's a bit hot?
Yeah.
The warmer weather has triggered an amber heat alert for England. It's a signal to the NHS that the temperatures are likely to cause health problems in the population. That is expected to have significant impacts for those on the front line.
There are lots and lots of young children who are suffering with heat exhaustion, who are presenting in general practice, and sometimes the overwhelming demand can't be supported by capacity.
As well as the young, the elderly and those with health conditions are the most at risk from the heat.
The older bodies, they don't adjust really well to the temperature like an younger body, and also the sense of thirst for someone who is older is reduced, and that puts them under risk for dehydration.
10 years ago I was somewhere where I sat outside and I got heat stroke. I was concentrating on other things and I didn't realise how hot I was getting. And I got double vision, but it gradually went away over the next week or so. That was a warning.
Whether you endure or enjoy the hot weather, many of us are reaching for the best ways to keep cool as the first heat wave of summer has begun. Ellie Pitt, ITV News.
Hello. As the weeks progress, the temperature has continued to rise. Temperatures officially topped 30 Celsius today, but many will agree that it felt even hotter with a heat wave predicted to last into the weekend. Well, the London Ambulance Service feel the pressure when temperatures rise as they get more call-outs. It's why they remind people to drink plenty of water and not to underestimate the sun. In care homes, they're taking every precaution possible, as Wendy Hurrell reports.
As human activity warms our planet, long spells of intense heat, such as we're in now, will become more frequent. Lots of London's buildings, so many of our homes, are not designed to cope with these extremes.
It's like a nice lolly.
And some in our communities are vulnerable in these conditions.
Broadly speaking, I would like to say I enjoy the warm weather, but just at the moment it is, it's gone over the top. In the morning I enjoy it usually, although I have to say this morning I've been sitting out reading and it really was hot.
I find that it makes me feel very sleepy. So if I'm going to do anything, it has to be done in the morning. When it went up beyond 40, then I just didn't feel I wanted to move.
The residents at Signature Senior Lifestyle, a care home in Kingston, are encouraged to sip water throughout the day, with hydration stations set up in communal areas.
Older people can get dehydrated very quickly and then get really poorly.
Yeah, very quick. And the thing is, you know, once they get dehydrated, there's various things that can go wrong. They are more prone to infections, they're more prone to confusion, then you've got the falls. And the unfortunate thing is with the elderly, they don't really like to drink, because if they drink, they have to go to the toilet. But it's not just water. Think of things like watermelon, cantaloupes. Think of salads. Think of what you put inside the salads. You know, strawberry. You can put strawberry in the salad. You can put cucumber salad, lettuce, all those things.
The Amber Health Alert, in place now until at least Monday morning, means there is extra pressure on care systems.
Emergency ambulance. Is the patient breathing?
The London Ambulance Service is expecting 7,000 calls a day over the weekend, compared to 5,500, their norm, due to a combination of high pollen and heat.
We take several actions when we get hot weather alerts. So we've increased our staffing to maximise our resource, and we put lots of messaging out to our own staff to make sure they're well supported, but also messaging Londoners to only call us an emergency. Just be careful when drinking alcohol, make sure that we mix it with additional fluid as well, and have a good time, but be careful.
Some, of course, will welcome sunny summer days, but we're encouraged to look after those for whom the heat poses a health risk. Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
So the heat is being taken very seriously, but let's not forget lots of people are enjoying it too and having a bit of a laugh. This popped up at a tube station. New names for some of our stations. Let me just read some of them here. Barking is baking. Streatham is Sweatham. Tottenham is to Hottenham. Canning Town, Tanning Town. Not sure I like this one. Aldgate is Scaldgate. Oh, that's a bit too close to the truth. OK, but there we go, having a bit of a laugh there. A number of you have also been getting in touch with your top tips for dealing with the hot weather and questions about it too. Alice Bandercravi sat down with a GP to dispel the fact from the fiction.
So, Dr. Sarah, in this heat, who is most at risk and why?
There are a few different groups that could be considered higher risk. I'd say older adults are one of those. Unfortunately, as we get older, our ability to regulate our temperature starts to diminish, and that can be because of poorer circulation, we sweat less, but also older adults tend to be on more medications. But there are other groups, so babies and young children on the other extreme of things. Their systems for thermoregulation are just not mature enough yet.
And what's your best advice on staying safe in this heat then?
There are a number of things that you can do to stay safe in this heat. I'd say at first, look in your home. So draw those curtains during sunny times, during the day, especially those that are facing the sun. Open up the windows during the cooler periods, so early morning and in the evenings. Get some fans, put an ice bucket in front of that fan to keep things cooler. I think what's quite important is check on relatives and neighbours that might be vulnerable. If you are going to go outside, then just make sure it's not between the hours of 11 and 3 where it's at its hottest. And of course, what everyone should be remembering is hydration. Not just drinking when you're thirsty, but regularly drinking throughout the day, avoiding alcohol and caffeine, which are both dehydrating.
Dr. Sarah, thank you. And loads of you have been getting in touch with your tips and tricks on how to stay cool in this heat. Fiona in southeast London says, I wet a small face cloth or towel with cold water, squeeze it out and drape it around my neck. It works at night. Get a nice cold bowl of water and just soak your feet. It really cools you down and is good for circulation, says Simon in East London. And Evie says, I wet a flannel and freeze it in a Ziploc bag. When I go out, I take it with me. Dr. Sarah, let's talk about SPF, sun cream. How often do we have to put it on? Who needs to wear it? When do we need to do it?
Sunscreen should be worn by everyone. It's not just something you use on holidays. It should be worn every day and especially in weather like this. I'd say go for an SPF of 30 or higher. That protects against UVB rays. And then you also want to look on the bottle for the UVA rating. You want to make sure it's a 4 or 5 star rating, and that protects against UVA. All skin tones are at risk of UV harm. So they can all get burnt. They can all develop skin cancer. No one is immune to UV.
That's really, really helpful. Thank you so much for all that advice. Thanks, Dr. Sarah.
Finally tonight, it's not just humans who need to take extra care in this heat, of course. Our pets can be very vulnerable as well. And a whole new industry has developed, selling everything from sun hats to UV vests and even sun cream for dogs and cats. Well, our consumer editor, Chris Troy, spoke to owners and vets for their top tips on keeping your pets safe in the sun.
Yeah, good boy. In Ashford, sun cream protection for Clifford the pug, as today the UK's leading pet brand said demand for cooling products has doubled in a year. This owner is alert to the risks.
Sure, we have things available such as toys that are freezable, the cooling mats. We've also been putting them into the bath and showering them down with cool water and popping them in front of a fan to make sure that they're really, really comfortable.
UV protection vests, sun hats, lick-safe sun creams and even sunglasses. The range of products is larger than ever and we found the perfect model.
So this is Atticus Finch Wobbly cat.
Rehomed from a rescue centre as a kitten, he suffers from a brain condition affecting his walk. By dressing up, he raises money for other disabled cats. Today we hired him to model sun protection outfits and help us get across the latest veterinary advice. Do you think he actually enjoys dressing up?
I do. He doesn't put, I mean, as you can see, he's really placid as he is at the moment.
He falls a lot, but is in no distress. This is normal for him. And first, a lightweight summer vest with sun-safe UV protection fabric, accessorised with a sun cap. And next, as you see, Wobbly Cat is modelling a cap. This can shield sensitive eyes from the sun's rays. Vets say only use pet wear if it's not causing stress or discomfort. And they emphasise that in this heat, access to water and shade are the most crucial factors. This vet says pet sun protection products can be worth considering.
I think there's definitely some merit in them. I mean, obviously with the weather as it is at the moment, making sure they're protected from the heat and the sun itself is definitely important. Pale-coloured animals are more likely to be affected by the sun.
For cool cats and hot dogs, top consumer tips are never use human sun creams on pets. Concentrate on protecting ears and noses. Chris Choi, ITV News in Huddersfield.